Hey City, welcome back to the channel. It's a girl VeraMoore and I'm back with another reaction video. Today I'm going to be reacting to top 10 infamous British gangsters. Wow, British gangsters. Alright, but this is not a joke, they're actually gangsters. Alright guys, can't wait to get into the video. Before we get started, we have some amazing people watching us for the first time. If you're new to the channel, hello, I'm Vera. I do reaction videos. If this is something that you love, why not join Veracity? Just subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that's guys, let's go. I don't know why my headphone is always falling off. Let's go guys.
Say hello to my little friend. Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 infamous British gangsters.
And he just fights. He just fights and fights and fights.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we take a look at the most ruthless and notorious gangsters in modern British history.
The worst crime a man could commit is bring his family up in poverty. So I don't regret any of my actions.
Number 10. Lenny McLean. Frequently dubbed the hardest man in Britain, McLean was known to most people simply as the Governor.
Are you gonna Barry makes sure the administrative side of the business runs harmoniously.
While his gangster credentials aren't as prominent as some, he did become Britain's most famous bare-knuckle street fighter, and reportedly one of the best. Throughout his career, McLean said to have fought in almost 4,000 matches, and to have won most of them.
Well, I used to mind the toughest clubs in Britain, all over the country. I had about 20,000
like in real life
barroom brawls.
An important figure in the East End as a bouncer, bodyguard and enforcer, he often associated with people such as the Kray twins and Charles Bronson, before in his later life he worked as an actor.
I suggest you hit those guns. Quick!
Number 9. Thomas McGraw. Born in Glasgow, Tam the licensee McGraw's criminal career started off with burglary and armed robbery, and he eventually became one of the most wanted men in Scotland. In the 1980s, after somehow avoiding a stint in prison after a failed robbery, he began to expand his criminal empire by selling heroin and purchasing numerous clubs and pubs. He was one of the key figures in Glasgow's ice cream wars, where violent confrontations become commonplace among criminals using ice cream vans as a front for drug sales. Number 8. Charles. With his taste for fighting guards and inmates alike, Charles Bronson became known as Britain's most violent prisoner, and is one of British crime's most notorious figures.
They said I'm bigger than my name.
Born Michael Peterson, Bronson began as a petty criminal and was first imprisoned for armed robbery.
Prison was finally a place where I could sharpen my tools.
Upon his release in 1987, he entered the world of bare-knuckle boxing, but his fighting career was fairly short-lived because 69 days later, he was in jail again. Out again in 92, he was arrested a third time for conspiracy to rob and has never been freed since.
And would you like a cup of tea too, mate?
Number 7. Freddie Foreman. He's best known as Brown Bread Fred, or the godfather of British crime, as many publications have come to refer to him, but Foreman says he's nothing like Marlon Brando.
All I wanted to do was make money so we could live a decent life.
One of the East End gangster scene's most feared figures, he was close to the infamous Kray twins and was implicated in numerous murders and other criminal activities.
Once you pull the trigger, you never know what's going to happen. So.
Though never actually convicted of killing anybody, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for disposing of the body of Jack the Hat McVitie, and later in relation to 1983's Shoreditch Security Express robbery.
I feel like when my time's up, at least I've had an eventful life, if nothing else.
Number 6. Tommy Comerford. The hometown of the Beatles has had its share of shady characters. This includes one of the first big business criminals to establish in England the kind of international drug trafficking network that you perhaps usually link to a mob overseas. Drug baron Tommy Tucker Comerford was instrumental in forming the first serious drug dealing cartel in Britain, which made the Liverpool Mafia the richest in the country. His first stint in jail came after a bank robbery, and during his long criminal career, he was sentenced to more than 34 years behind bars. Number 5. Desmond and Dominic Noonan. These two brothers were the head of one of Manchester's most infamous and ruthless gangs, which by the late 1990s had become one of the most notorious crime families in the whole of Britain.
We don't do everything nice, but you know, we do look after each other. We look after our friends.
Involved in drug trafficking, nightlife security, and armed robbery, the Noonans' reign over Manchester's underworld lasted over 20 years.
By day it's run by police, by night it's run by gangsters. Manchester is where I was born, where I live, and where I'll die.
During that time, they were also suspected of being responsible for more than 25 murders. Desmond was stabbed in 2005 and died of his wounds, while Dominic is currently serving 22 years in prison for arson, blackmail, and sex offences.
Shut up, I'll send someone out, I'll beat you up in a minute.
Number 4. Frankie Fraser. One of the most recognisable faces.
Oh my god, did I just hear correctly? More than 25 murders? Like, these people just go around causing havoc, killing people. To like, I don't get it. What do they plan to gain? What do they plan to achieve? Like, this whole thing is just crazy. It's crazy, honestly. Let's go on.
In modern British crime, Mad Frankie Fraser was a guy you didn't want to cross.
The police say I've killed 40 people, not 41. If they'd have said 41, I'd have really been upset. I hate odd numbers.
And the nickname is not just for show. He was actually certified insane during a short prison stint after World War II, a conflict he'd managed not to take part in by deserting. Fraser eventually became an enforcer for the Richardson gang during the 60s and was reportedly involved in numerous episodes of torture and murder.
I allegedly pulled a guy's teeth out with pliers. I only wished it had been true.
His violence followed him in prison, where he would often start fights with other inmates and guards.
That is where I slung Eric Mason out with an axe in his head.
Number 3. The Gunn Brothers. Heads of the Bestwood cartel, named after the Bestwood estate in Nottingham where they set up their criminal enterprise, brothers David and Colin Gunn became the city's foremost gang lords.
So they are brothers.
In the 1990s, the brothers had risen through the ranks from petty criminals to underworld figures, a rise largely unchallenged by the city's other criminals.
Drug trafficking, protection rackets, corruption, and murder became commonplace under their watch, so much so that the city earned the nickname of Shottingham. As their empire grew and drugs flowed in, Colin started becoming more and more violent and volatile, as steroids and cocaine use heightened his worst impulses. Under his watch, even innocents would pay the price of his crimes. Number 2. The Richardson Brothers. Charlie and Eddie Richardson were the leaders of what many still consider the most sadistic and ruthless gang in Britain, the Richardson Gang. They were often simply referred to as the Torture Gang due to their preferred way of settling scores and intimidating rivals and transgressors. After holding mock trials, their victims could be subject to electric shocks, teeth pulling using pliers, toe cutting, or even being nailed to the floor. The Richardsons controlled South London, but ended up in a feud with the Krays that lasted into the mid-60s.
The Richardsons, they were frighteners, really vicious people.
Number 1. The Kray twins.
That's crazy.
The most infamous gangsters to ever call London home, Ronnie and Reggie Kray were the most prominent criminals in the city's East End over the 1950s and 60s.
Wow, no.
Armed robbery, hijacking, murder and general violence were only some of the brothers' specialities, while heads of their own gang, the Firm. As owners of several nightclubs in the 60s, they became part of the swinging London scene and gained a certain amount of celebrity, even appearing on national television. But they were finally arrested in 1968 and essentially spent the rest of their lives in prison.
Now, before we start, got a little joke for you. You'll love this one.
So they're still in prison.
Paranoid schizophrenic who walks into a bar.
What the?
Do you agree with our pick?
Oh my goodness. The fact that these people use pliers to pick out people's teeth, like, don't they have human feelings? Remove people's toenails, electrocute them. Why would you be doing that to your fellow human being? Like, you're capable of killing somebody. How does that even feel? Like, the thought alone is so scary. How would you take life out of another human being? A life that you yourself you cannot create. You cannot create it. So why would you do that? Oh God. This whole thing is just so scary. Watching this, imagine brothers killing people, twins killing. Why? And now they are like spending the rest of their lives in prison. But there's something I don't understand though. Are they all actors now? Because it seems like some of them are now actors or something like that. I really don't get that part. So please enlighten me. What do you guys think about this video? Drop your comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a huge thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, join VeraCity. Hit the subscribe button below. Turn on the post notification bell so I can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Love you. Bye, guys.